Let's return to the raids in the city of Johannesburg today. More than 600 people arrested. Joining us now on the line is City of Johannesburg MMC for Public Safety, Michael Sun. Mr. Sun, thank you for being with us. Just tell us, everybody's talking about a very coordinated campaign with the police, with the city, with immigration officials. How did you find today?
Well, thank you very much. Good evening to everyone. Today's operation is an integrated operation led by South African Police Services. We as the City of Johannesburg, being Public Safety and the JMPD, were certainly part of the operation. It is a very well planned, and I must say that it's well executed. The areas around where these buildings were targeted were cordoned off long before the operation commenced. We saw there were obviously a lot of traffic congestion as a result, but the success that we saw, and obviously I have seen with my own eyes because I was there on the ground. It's something that we must really commend enforcement for. For example, one of the buildings that we raided, it was a 12-story building. On the ground floor, there were shops where these counterfeit goods were retailed. On the floors above, there were storage rooms behind, thick steel doors that took hours for the law enforcement agencies to break through. When we got to the higher floors, there were actually factories where these fake labels and fake tags would be sewn or printed onto these apparels to be sold downstairs. And just to share with you, one of the cash sales books I picked up at one of the storerooms where there were counterfeit goods, these traders were making tens of thousands of rand in trade by selling counterfeit goods, and these are all proceeds of crime. We must really these operations will go on. We must bring back law and order into the streets of Johannesburg. I'm not going to tolerate and allow the kind of lawlessness that we saw last week in the city of Johannesburg.
So last week, foreign nationals saying they were being specifically targeted. I guess a general question, are these raids fair? Are you looking at everybody of any origin involved in counterfeit goods? And this isn't all about targeting specific individuals?
As far as I'm concerned, the police did not profile anybody. And I think one thing that I've been saying is that we are focusing on the criminality and not the nationality. It can be anybody. It can be South Africans. You can be anybody coming from other countries. But as soon as you break the law of the country, you will have to face the consequence. And this is what I certainly saw today at the operations. A lot of the traders, they close shop, behind, again, these steel roller doors. That makes it very difficult for the police to operate. And some of the ways to conceal these counterfeit goods are just, ingenious. Some traders had them stashed away in their vehicles, parked in the underground parking. And, just the amount of counterfeit goods that comes out from one of these buildings, it's, beyond belief. But I can certainly, say that there was no profiling of any foreign nationals. Indeed, it's the criminalities that the police was focusing on today.
So one of our viewers has sent through a tweet, and I'd love you to address it, saying, is this about targeting our African brothers and sisters? Because there are claims about China malls, for instance. Are we going to have the same amount of scrutiny across the city of Johannesburg wherever there are claims of counterfeit goods?
Absolutely. And as I've said, nationality is not the focus here. If anybody is of the view that, the police operation is targeted at a certain group of people or nationality, they must please come forward with evidence. But certainly, whether you run China Mall or you run Ethiopian Mall, if you run, a USA Mall, for all I care, the nationality is not the importance here, but the criminality. So, and again, we want to urge our residents and the business people operating the city of Johannesburg. We welcome foreign investors. We welcome foreign tourists. We welcome foreign, people making Johannesburg their home. But please, when you are in South Africa, when you're in Johannesburg, please comply with our laws.
Yeah. Were you alarmed? We're hearing that rifles of Israeli origin were seized, deadly poison, things like that coming out of these buildings. And are they linked to this counterfeit trade, or is this sort of a general area for criminality?
So what we saw today was that on the 12th floor of this one building, there was a whole control room with radios, and at the one room at the back, there were two shotguns I saw, and two high-caliber rifles together with handguns and ammunition. I mean, this is not something that, your ordinary people would carry or have in their possession. And if you look at the operation of this building, how this whole supply chain is laid out, where you have on the ground floor the retailers, the storage rooms upstairs, then the factories, even higher. Then right on top you have this control room with radios and with logbooks and firearms. Is certainly very concerning. I'm sure the police will be investigating. We as a city will be supporting the SABC to investigate, and we'll continue to support our law enforcement agency as the City of Johannesburg to ensure that these kind of criminalities must really be rooted out, and any associated criminalities together with the counterfeit goods trade. There are proceeds of crime that's being fed to the other crimes, and those crimes must also indeed be dealt with.
Well, let's end there. There are hundreds of people in custody, we understand. Are you confident there will be prosecutions? Otherwise, this sort of activity we saw today is null and void.
I think you're absolutely correct. There's a whole chain of role players and stakeholders in today's operation. Once the suspects are being arrested or foreign nationals do not have adequate or proper papers, of course the Home Affairs will have to get involved. But we certainly want to urge our colleagues at the National Prosecuting Authority, at Home Affairs, to ensure that no balls are being dropped. And, if we see this kind of operation where police officers go all out, but then we are not seeing any successful convictions, it's really not going to work. It's not going to be a deterrent. Therefore, we'll be keeping a very close watch. We will certainly be following up with the relevant stakeholders and departments to ensure that we see convictions and court processes coming out from today and any future operations.
All right, thank you very much. That was City of Johannesburg MMC for Public Safety, Michael Cele.